So my name is Rob MacAllister, and I am from a company called Music Ally. Music Ally, for those of you that don't know, the best way we describe ourselves is we love music. I'm a musician myself, but we also love tech and we love the music business. So we try and bring the two worlds together by educating labels about the tech world, of what's possible, what can be done, but also from a musician's background of, 4 or 5 of us are all musicians. We all, like I say, we all love music as well. Music Ally has been going around for 11 years. In that time, we have a publication called Sandbox, which I edit, which is a music marketing publication. But we also have an industry report, which is a fortnightly report as well as a bulletin. Some of you may receive it, some of you may not. But if you were looking to, this is a sales pitch, apologies, give me 2 seconds, it'll be over. You can subscribe on Music Ally's website. I say no more. So we're going to talk about retargeting. Retargeting is something to me, my role at Music Ally is training and marketing. So I go to and consult people about how to make the most of their marketing budget, what to do, what's new, what's different, and what other people are doing. And as part of my role as Sandbox, we get to talk to sort of everybody from every major label, and we are that neutral service that can jump in between. So it means we get all the best information from a wide range of people, which for me is really, really cool because we see everything rather than just one narrow-minded label view. So site retargeting. Not so sure whether any of this is going to be very, very new to some people or it's all common hat, but it's going to be a very, very nice introduction into site retargeting of what is possible. And I will warn you that it's very, very scary in the age of Facebook and what Google do, the amount of, I'm sure many of you know, what we can target to as marketers or advertisers is really, really scary, the abilities that we have. So this is my joke of having a tag. This is an ASBO tag for any of you that know. And basically, by going on the website, this is how site retargeting works. You visit a website, and someone will give you a tag. It's to your ankle. Wherever you go, they know where you are, very much, very basically. This code that you can segment as an advertiser. So you can say, okay, well, Rob is going to be given a tag if he goes and buys a pair of trainers or buys a gig ticket. Or Rob is going to have a tag if he doesn't buy a pair of trainers or buy a gig ticket. Or if I was to go and listen to some music on a website, I would then get a tag for that. So the most important thing about site retargeting is you can completely set it up per page rather than your whole site. Now, I love trainers. I have to try and get a picture of trainers in every one of my presentations, and it's an in-joke, and I love basketball. So I was looking at these trainers, I actually bought them, but 2% of shoppers convert on their first time they view a site. So 98% of people, when looking at stuff, don't buy on their first time that they look for it. So this is how retargeting brings, or by retargeting, you can bring those customers back. So this can be for a gig ticket, this can be for an album, this can be for a single, or this can be for a t-shirt, or whoever you want to apply it. It's completely transparent. It will work in the luxury brand sector, cosmetic sector, and music. So a cookie is then placed. So I browse, I go to that website, which was Crooked Tongues, and then it places a cookie on wherever I browse, and it says, okay, well, Rob has visited this one site. Wherever he goes, he will then be potentially served targeted adverts based on my previous browsing history. So a DSP, which is a demand-side platform, which is like, in theory, an advertising agency, but more focused purely on retargeting, will then grab the cookies and place targeted adverts towards me. So this is me on YouTube, and I get recommended some horrible trainers in the top right-hand corner. Not the ones that I want, but it's an example of this one site, Crooked Tongues, where I previously was, has served me an advert based on what I have been looking at. So these are a pair of Air Jordans that I'm wearing. They are basketball trainers, and these horrible trainers here, which are a neon blue, are a pair of LeBrons. I won't tell you why I don't like them, but that's for another conversation. But it does show that it has been retargeted on a store that I have previously visited, and I am now being targeted to try and go back to that store. So I didn't purchase anything on my first visit. I saw this advert while looking for I actually wasn't looking for Justin Bieber, please don't judge me. But it was this was purely for test purposes, of course, and I saw this advert. So the way that these adverts are placed is via real-time bidding, and I've got David Dickinson there, just because he's very orange and he matches the other picture. But this means that you can place bids in real time. And obviously, as an advertiser, if any of you have placed adverts on Facebook or on Google, you do have the option on Google to place certain bids at certain times. So say, for example, at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., and I'm watching The Voice, I could offer to pay £2 per click, and then at 10 o'clock, once The Voice is over, I could pay £1 for a click if I wanted to. You already have that ability. What real-time bidding allows you to do is bid per impression. So every single impression, in theory, you put a price on. And you can pay for it in multiple ways. But what this does allow you to do is have ultra-targeted adverts to your designated audience, and at a price that you can fully control. So it's a bit like eBay. You can set your maximum bid at £2 if you want to, or you can say that you are willing to pay however much it costs to get that advert out there. So that's site retargeting. There are different types of retargeting. So there's email retargeting, which could be based on, if I open an email and I click on a certain link, then that segments me, and I am then served various adverts around the web based on my open rates within my email. You can have search retargeting, which is slightly more scary than site retargeting. So it could be that I go onto Google and I say, okay, well, I want to buy a pair of tickets to go and see Alt J. And if I just type in Alt J rather than tickets, it could serve me, even without clicking on any of these ticket providers, Alt J tickets. So that's another type of targeting. And again, it's scary, but it doesn't stop. This is Facebook now, what we're going to quickly talk about. And you can retarget content on Facebook, and it gets even more scary. So no one's looking very scared yet, but just wait, because it's really, really freaky. So this is where my presentation doesn't work, because we've gone from PowerPoint to Keynote. But basically, it's a very, very similar process. So you browse the internet, you find something, the DSP, which is this demand-side platform, pulls that cookie, and then it will decide to serve you adverts onto Facebook. Again, you can segment those users if you want to. I'm just going to get off this horrible-looking slide now. That's called Facebook Exchange. So it means that you can cross-reference the real information on Facebook. So my name's Rob, I'm 24, I have a girlfriend, I live in London. Facebook knows all this information about me. It knows my phone number, it knows my previous address, it knows what music I listen to, it knows that I have read stuff on Goodreads, it knows that I have Instagram, and that's just the start of things that Facebook knows about me. So what retargeting does, or Facebook Exchange, allows you to combine your browsing history outside of Facebook. So the fact that I want to buy these trainers, and I want to go to Crooked Tongues, and then it brings that into Facebook, and it says, okay, well, Rob likes the MBA page on Facebook, and he also has visited a trainer outlet on Google, or on the web. What adverts can we serve him? He's also between the age of 18 and 25, so we're going to segment him even more. So the targeting abilities of retargeting are very, very, very scary, like I say, because you can cross-reference data. Now, before everyone gets too scared, when a DSP pulls your data from Google or from wherever you search, it doesn't say, okay, well, Rob MacAllister on Facebook is that one person. It's completely anonymized. But as a marketer, you can still target that individual person, and they're just given a code in theory rather than an actual name. But it means that with Facebook, obviously, Facebook is considered one of the most, or the most powerful targeting platform at the moment, in my opinion anyway, because of the real information. Like I say, all my information on Facebook is my real name, it's got my girlfriend's real name, it's got my real date of birth. In theory, when I'm on Google, I could be a completely anonymous person. But with Facebook, I'm actually a real person, and I guess probably 95% of people here have real information on their Facebook page. So does Facebook Exchange work? Okay, so retargeting, this is a retargeting platform called AdRoll, and I was on this website making sure my research was up to date, making sure I didn't say anything completely wrong, and this is an example of how you can be retargeted. So There we go. So this is my Facebook. Like I say, my name's at the top there, Rob MacAllister, my picture and whatever, but I have blurred out people's images for privacy of them. I'm not a private guy myself. But on the right-hand side, you can see this advert, and it says, we're retargeting you. Now, that's really fucking scary. The fact that they can go, we're retargeting you, Rob. You visit our website, we're going to sell you something. Now, initially, Facebook Exchange has been available since September last year. And the only way you could place adverts is to external sites. So these are what you call marketplace ads on the right-hand side. They go outside of Facebook. So I can guarantee you tomorrow I will see probably 5 adverts asking me if I want to bet on Man United's game on Sunday. Don't judge me, but I'm a Man United fan. And every bloody week, I've never placed a bet in my life, but I am that age group that they target adverts to me saying, do you want to bet? Now, what they've just released very, very recently is the ability to target in newsfeed. And this allows you to target posts. So if you're a musician, in theory, you could say, okay, well, we have our, well, actually, I'll go on to that in 1 second. I'm stepping ahead of myself. Apologies. But it does mean that you're given a lot bigger space to target to. I think it's something like 98% of people's time on Facebook is spent within the newsfeed as well. I definitely just sit sometimes and just scroll down my newsfeed and try and look at people and see what they're doing, rather than actually click on their profile. So an example of this in action, again, is this website. This wasn't me searching for this. This is just a picture. I don't like ladies' shoes as well. And this advert here gained a 15% click-through rate. And this was a marketplace ad on the right-hand side compared to a standard 6.6 click-through rate. And this advert was based on someone that had gone to the Nordstrom site and then gone to Facebook, hadn't bought the lovely neon pink shoes, and then they got reminded about them. And it's that with retargeting, you're slowly reminded about something, saying, you want to buy it? Do you want to buy it? You really want to buy it? You go to the store. So you can also control the amount of impressions that someone sees. So obviously, I don't want to go and browse on the internet for the next 3 weeks and see the advert for the same bloody pair of shoes, or the same gig tickets, or the same downloads. So you can limit how many times someone sees this advert as well. Another example is a company called Shutterfly, which is a photo book site. So 4 times higher return on ad spend. So again, because you're targeting at people, you can have a higher return on investment. And what's really interesting is a 1.5 times greater likelihood of people converting from the first 2 impressions. So you're only having to pay twice in theory for those impressions rather than multiple times. So this is where it gets a little bit more scary, like I say. So every musician, hopefully, unless you have a terrible manager, will have a mailing list. You won't have all your activity focused on Facebook or Twitter. You will also have an actual mailing list. And this can come from me going around and saying, sign up to my mailing list, or this can come from purchases of gig tickets. Now, with custom audience, you can import your mailing list or your sales list if you're a shoe seller or if you're a florist or whatever, into custom audience on Facebook and decide to serve ads to those people explicitly or not to them at all. So an example of this is if I am, the Daft Punk is an easy example because their album is released on Monday. Loads and loads of news around it. But pre-orders of this album have been insane as far as I'm aware. And it could be that they want to really, really push sales for this one album. So over this weekend, they do a discount. Let's say, hypothetically, you can buy the new Daft Punk album for $3.99 rather than $7.99 on the iTunes store. Obviously, if you had bought that for $7.99, you'd be really pissed off. I'd be like, look, I want my money back. I can get it for half price, exactly the same. So in theory, what they could do is get a list or the email or the mobile number or the username of those hundreds of thousands of people that have pre-ordered that album and not serve that advert to them explicitly. So they will never see that advert, hopefully, unless obviously their partner sees it and goes, hey, you've been mugged off. But in theory, on your own account, you will not see that. But also, it works the same way. So say, for example, those people have paid $7.99. You know that they're your favorite customers in theory. And you could say, hey, why don't you have 10% off gig tickets? So all of a sudden, you start to realize that retargeting is really, really powerful on this custom audience. And the one thing I must say about Facebook as well is that Facebook is a really clean environment. Adverts look really good on Facebook because there's no you know exactly what you pay for. You know they either go on the right or they go in the middle. You don't have below the fold adverts on Facebook. You know exactly where they are. And I think everybody who would be able to say, Facebook's go on the right, you have about 4, and then you have some dotted in your stream. And I think everybody would be able to come to that conclusion very quickly what happens. So when trying to gain new likes, you have a 15% lower cost per like, again, because in theory, these are your warm leads. The conversion rate of impressions to likes was 87% higher than just cold calling in theory. So these are your really, really warm leads. And you can gain data, from Facebook apps. And I'm not too sure what everybody does, but there's a huge amount of ways you can gain data from people and then target them. So one last thing, and this is a music example. I'll stop talking about trainers and shoes, is Paramore. I don't know whether Nikke is here, but Nikke will be able to give people a much better idea of this. But Paramore did a retargeting on their site. So like I say, so Daft Punk at the moment, I don't know how many of you familiar, are streaming their album on iTunes. What that means is that you are in this lovely merchant. You can pay $7.99 or whatever to target. $7.99 to buy that album. What Paramore did, rather than going to one of these individual streaming services like Audio, Deezer, Spotify, or going on iTunes, they actually streamed it themselves on their site. So people had to go to the Paramore site, listen to it. They had 4 days, 4 tracks were released. And what they then did is start retargeting people who had then visited and listened to that track. So say, for example, there's a really, really great stat, which was from Atlantic directly, that 65% of people that visited once also visited 2 more times. So in theory, the average 65% of people listened to 12 tracks of a 16-track album, and they had to come back 3 times. Now what that means is that they have segments of people that can potentially target to. So they have all these cookies placed on people's browsers, and then you can serve targets and dedicated creative to them. So you can say to the person that's only listened to 4 tracks, come back to the Paramore website and listen to it. For the people that have listened to 8 tracks, why don't you go and buy the CD? For people that have listened to 12 tracks, why don't you go and buy the deluxe edition of the CD? And people that listen to all 16, why don't you get a signed copy? So you get this really nice idea of where you can target creative based on people's habits via retargeting, which I think is really, really valuable as a marketer. And it's very, very scary. It's something that people have been doing. We all are probably aware of targeting adverts. But being able to retarget adverts on people's previous behavior is just really, really scary. But it's also very, very exciting. It's one of the few things in digital advertising that I really, really love learning about. If anyone has any questions afterwards, please give me a shout. But I think that's it. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And have a lovely evening.